And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello,
How are you all?
everybody. Everybody is well, I hope.
Very well,
Excellent.
thank you.
Fantastic.
Well,
So, we've just had somebody join us now, so we're starting to see people trickle in. Great to see you, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to
Good
the
morning.
first episode of Women Who Influence Live. And over the next 90 minutes, we're going to spend some time, give or take 90 minutes, we're going to spend some time with Christopher Power and Darryl Reeves, and we're going to talk about what is new and exciting and happening in the Know Your Operating System and Your Human Design. And Christopher and Darryl are actually going to talk to us about a new program that they have up and coming starting at the end of January, I think, around about the 22nd of January, and it is Design Your Destiny Masterclass. So we'll hear more about that towards the end with Darryl. So stay tuned. It has some very exciting special offers for you for the people who are on the call today. So welcome everybody, and we're starting to see lots of people pile in. So you have the option to ask questions throughout the session with Darryl and Christopher this morning, so feel free to do that. But first of all, I'd like to say welcome Christopher, welcome Darryl. How is it over there in sunny Thailand? Is it sunny over there?
Yeah, it is.
It's a lovely clear day today.
Lovely. Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm in, sorry?
Oh, we've just had some really cold weather over the last week or so. It went down into the low 70s.
Right, okay, and that's cool. Well, I'm in the blistering heat of Brisbane summer, so it is a beautiful day outside though. It's much nicer on the inside with the air conditioning.
You guys have been having a heat wave, haven't you, I've heard?
We have had a heat wave, yes. It's been very interesting weather. It's been quite warm over here, but it's summer. It's Queensland. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's
And
what we come to expect.
I know there are people on the east coast of the US at the moment who've had exactly the opposite experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have clients and friends of mine there.
it's been
Absolutely.
unbelievable cold weather, hasn't it? I've seen it on the news.
Yeah, excellent. So hello Lillian. I see Lillian's joined us. Nice to see you, Lillian. And
Morning,
a few
Lillian.
other people are now coming in. So I guess one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you guys, and there's been a lot of discussion. So obviously I've spent some time with Christopher doing some coaching, but one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about this morning, Christopher, if we could, is how our design is actually impacted by stress, or are there different stresses or different designs that actually create different circumstances for us in terms of how our operating system is. So how does stress impact us? It's a big thing at the moment in terms of this time of the year, particularly getting back to work, understanding what we want to do for the year. And sometimes that can create stresses for us individually.
Right.
So can you just share a little bit with us around how operating system and how that's impacted by stress, or how we experience stress as a result of our personal and unique operating system?
Yeah, this is a fundamental question. It comes right down to what is the root of stress in our lives. And one of the things that's become clear over the last couple of decades is each one of us has a unique operating system, right? A unique design. We're designed to operate in a way that's unique. And yet we come out of history where for a long time it was appropriate to get along with everybody else and conform, just fit in, because the world as we experienced it then was threatening. It was, scary, and there were Mongols coming over the hill, and wild animals and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
King Jong-un with his finger on the nuclear button.
Yeah, yeah. However, things have changed quite dramatically because that is not the only option. There's been a massive shift historically, whereas before everyone was subjected to that. And partly it was amplified by the fact that we, in the past, were designed to make decisions with our mind. And making decisions with your mind disconnects you partially, but significantly, from the material world. See, your body is 100% committed to living in the material world, right? Your mind comes in and out, in and out, in and out. And so it can live in an imaginary reality that is quite disconnected from what's really happening. And when that happens, you get a disconnect between how you're designed to operate and the way things are actually happening. And that is the major cause of stress. It's just each one of us is gifted with a unique ability, a unique set of skills, a whole unique way of operating in the world. And until lately, that has been, well, you can do without it because people have been aiming at efficiency. Yeah, just let's get efficient. Let's survive. Now we're in a world where there's so many options. Yeah, there's still options for people to do crazy stuff, you know, and blow people up and everything, but there are so many other options. And what everyone's looking for is what is the most effective way to live your life? What is the most effective way to run your business? What is the most effective way to love your partner, to take care of your children? What's the most effective way to live your life? And when you're living in the most effective way, the stress level comes down to just what you need to stretch and challenge.
Healthy stress, eh?
Sorry, Darryl?
Healthy stress.
Healthy, yeah. We all need to stretch and grow. That's why we go to a gym and work out. I mean, that's sort of stressful, but it's good for the body.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. But what we're experiencing out there at the moment, or what we have been for thousands of years, and it's very amplified at the moment because it's no longer appropriate. And that is people stressing about things that don't matter. Right? They think they matter. They worry that they matter, but they don't. What really matters is, are you living the way you're designed to live? And I just mean, are you using the gifts and the talents that you've got physically, mentally, emotionally, and on every other level, instinctively? Are you living that because that's the way you're designed to operate?
Yeah.
And if you are, the mind finds it uncomfortable at the moment, to put it mildly, because we're not used to it. But with 10 years of experience, what I've found is no matter how the mind worries about it, when I live in alignment with how I'm designed to live, you know, when I live as who I am, naturally, the stress levels just... Yeah. And yeah, I've meditated for 40 years. You know, I've learned a lot of skills for reducing stress, but none of them work as effectively as just really recognizing and acknowledging and celebrating who I really am, who I'm designed to be, getting in touch with that. And not only does the stress level go down, but the enjoyment of life increases dramatically.
Yeah.
And so if we get to where the core of unhealthy stress comes from and deal with that, then so many other things that we use to cope with stress become unnecessary. And in fact, my experience is life becomes incredibly exciting and enjoyable and fun in a very relaxed and easy way.
Yeah, and I can certainly hear where you're coming from with that. So for me and my particular operating system, stress is amplified when I am dissatisfied, so when I'm not satisfied. So what are some of the other ways that we experience this stress? So for me, it's dissatisfaction. For another operating system, it might be another way. So what are some of the other ways that it actually manifests for other people?
That's a really good question, because if you boil it down, now everyone is utterly unique. But if you want to put it in just some categories, then you've got people who are here to start things and get them up and going. You know, they initiate things. And they initiate things most effectively when they're at peace. Now, this is because in the past, these type of people have often been the most dominating and angry people, because they're trying to make things happen in a way that doesn't work for them. Now, occasionally you get someone who gets right on top of it, but everyone else underneath them has to either conform or suffer.
Right, yep.
But there are people who, they initiate things most effectively when they're in touch with the natural peace that lies within them. In fact, everyone has peace inside of them, but these people don't function well, don't function at their optimum unless they're at peace. Now, there's a particular name for those in your design, but let's all forget all that. Let's just get down to it. So there's about 8% of the population who get things started. They're catalysts. They get it up and going. Then there's a whole chunk, about 70% of people who operate to get the work done. And you and I, Cheryl, are like that. And what we experience, we're doing the work we're designed to do when we feel satisfied. And we're doing things inappropriately, ineffectively, when we're frustrated. It's very simple. Getting there is a whole other thing. But frustration is a major indicator. It's out there massively because so many people are trying to make it happen mentally without using the gift of their whole body to really do the work for them. And that creates massive stress and massive frustration. So you and I, when we're getting frustrated, that's a great indicator we're off track.
And without knowing those things, though, when we get frustrated, we often refer to it being outside of us rather than inside of us. So we actually see things and we feel like we've got to make some big momentous change on the outside. But it's more about understanding what's happening on the inside, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If you're feeling frustrated, you're off track.
It's kind of like pointing the finger, isn't it? As you say, Chris, oftentimes, you know, you point the finger, you've always got three pointing back at you, you know. You're my problem. Yes, I am 25% of your problem, but you're the other 75%.
Exactly. Look, if the initiator type of people are getting angry, they're initiating in a far less effective way than they're capable of doing it. And when the type of people who do the work, you know, really build whatever you've initiated, those people, when they're feeling satisfied, that's when they do their best work. And when they do their best work, guess what? We feel satisfied. You know, right? Now, then there's another group of people, about 20%, who are there to make sure the people who are doing the work and building are doing it most effectively, most successfully. Right? They're there to make sure they're using the energy correctly. Management. And those people, they don't have to get in there and make it happen. They don't have to work. They just need to be available to help the other people do the work. Right? And their gift is the ability to help people do it most successfully. Again, that word, most effectively. See, efficiency, But effectiveness, hey, if you can be effective and efficient, great. But if you're if you're efficient, but it's not effective, who gives a damn? You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything, you know. So there's another group who are right there to just keep an eye on things and to guide and manage. And then there's one very small group who just hang around letting you know where you're at. They're like a mirror. When you look in the mirror, it's like, oh, I need to do this or that or clean myself up or whatever. And they're a small group of about 1%. So, and what they experience is when they're in the right environment where things are clicking, they feel the delight of the whole thing. It's like, yes, this is great. And when they're in a situation where it isn't working, not just for them, but for everybody else particularly, they get disappointed. And they're really, really helpful people to have around when you're running a business or you're in a family, even to have them as friends, because they give you really good feedback on where you're at, like looking in a mirror. So the four major things that all of us need, but each one of us, one of those four is a priority when you're dealing with the real world, when you're dealing with physical issues like running a business, you know, making love to your partner, taking care of your children. You know, if you're one of the people who initiates things, if you're at peace, you're really on track. If you're getting angry, you're getting off track. If you're someone who's here to build and to work with things so that the work gets done that needs to be done, find satisfaction. Does that mean you've got to always be 100% satisfied? No. But when you're frustrated, recognize it and acknowledge it. Let it go and go, okay, I'm frustrated. And then look for where the satisfaction is and you're back on track. If you're someone who's there to guide, relax. When people need you, they'll call for you because everybody can build things, but everyone wants to be successful. And they need you. So you don't have to chase them. You just have to be comfortable with yourself and ready to go when you're invited, if you decide that's okay. Now, the whole thing boils down to this. Even if something comes up, we are now at a point where each of us individually has the capacity. That's available in the world, not in every country, but it's growing and growing and growing. We all have the capacity now to make our own decisions from the part of us that's 100% committed to the material world. In other words, when you do it, not from up here, which is partly here and partly off in your imagination. I love imagination. The mind is fantastic. But let it do its job. And for making decisions about living in the real world and running your business and all the other things we do in the physical world, you know, when to exercise, what type of exercise to do, you know, what sort of sport really works for you, you know, when to spend time with your children and when to have some time to yourself. When it comes to that sort of thing that involves your practical life, make a decision with the part of you that's designed 100% to be committed to that and therefore is going to make decisions in your best interests. The mind doesn't. It's too easily affected by other people, by other philosophies, by other ideas, which is fine to entertain. But when it comes down to making decisions, you've got to make decisions that work for you because that is effective. It might not be efficient, but it works. It's effective. Right?
So then, Chris,
it's amazing.
Sorry. So then is it fair to say that our brain is really to give us the concept or the options, and then our body should be the way in which we respond to those options to see if it's the right fit?
That is a great question, because there are two things when you come from imagining into the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
You can dream of all sorts of amazing things, and it gives you all sorts of options. But the reality in the physical world is we deal with time.
Mm-hmm.
And timing is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say timing is everything.
Yeah.
Timing is crucial. And if you get the timing right and you've got the right energy, then it's most effective. That's when things work out not only well, not only really well, but in a way that totally satisfies you, or you can be at peace with, or you feel fully successful at. So the key to great decisions is, if you make a great decision, you've got the energy and the timing right. When you make a poor decision, the energy isn't right, and especially the timing isn't right.
Yeah. And we can identify that based on our operating system, because it will make us feel a certain way. And that's where what we perceive to be stress, it can often be frustration or anger or something else. And we just put it all in the stress bucket, and we don't really know how to deal with it. We all sit there and breathe and, you know, do all of those things, but it doesn't actually resolve the issue, because we're not seeing it from our own operating system position. We're just seeing it as what everybody calls stress these days.
Well, here's the key to stress. When you try and do something, when the energy isn't right and the timing isn't right, that creates stress.
That's right. Yeah.
Negative stress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you make decisions from your mind, you're not as connected with the reality of the physical world. You can imagine all sorts of incredible possibilities, and that is very useful. You can come up with the most incredible dreams, the most brilliant businesses, the desire you have for a wonderful relationship. I've been through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it took me until I was 67 to get the relationship of my dreams, and it was only after I let it go. Up until then, I was trying to make it happen, and it just, you know, like whatever it was. There was good times and bad times, whatever.
Yeah.
But the key is, you can come up with the greatest ideas, which is terrific, and then the key is to wait until the energy and the timing is right to implement them.
Yeah.
You know, if you came up 40 years ago with the operating system for an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't going to be any good. But if you came up 20 years or so ago, good timing.
Yeah.
And you can see this in business. You can have the greatest ideas, but you've got to wait until you and the world is ready for them. And then it becomes fun. Then it becomes enjoyable. Then you feel satisfied or at peace. Then you're successful. Then the whole thing is enjoyable.
Yeah. And then it becomes easier, doesn't it? It becomes easier to apply because you're operating in your natural state. One of the things that you mentioned around the new piece of work that you've been doing, the new program that Darryl will talk to us a little bit about, is around action, attraction, and integration. Now, I love those words. I think it really is clear on how I should act, how I should respond to things, or how I should, you know, the type of things that I'm attracting. What am I attracting, and why do some things really have an impact on me, and why do some have hardly any influence at all? What is it about me and my operating system, or people and their operating system, where understanding how we should act, or how our actions impact, and how our attractions impact what's going on around us? Because that ties into some of the things you were talking about before with relationships. We've all had those relationships where we sit back and it's just, oh, wow, it's, you know, firecrackers and it's so exciting. And other relationships where it really, you know, churns and does something to us that's not often a nice thing. But so what is it about the action and the attraction that is unique for individuals? Can you just give us a quick, I know you probably can't give us a quick overview, but talk to us about that.
I can do that. Look, the whole key about knowing your design is not only does it reduce stress, it's the most empowering, practical step in the real world you can ever take.
Mm-hmm.
It really empowers you. And the reason is this: every single human being is designed to do things, certain things. And we're also designed to receive. And I'll make it very simple. If you've got a talent to do something, whatever that is, or a variety of talents, you need to receive support from the world around you. If you're an investor, you know, you need to receive a great opportunity. If you're someone raising money, you need to receive money, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a relationship, you know, you've got a talent, but you've got to be open to receiving it. It's as simple as we breathe out, which is doing, but we also need to breathe in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the reason I wrote a book on this called Action, Attraction, Integration 20 years ago, or 23 years ago now. And what it is we're designed to do certain things, and each one of us is gifted with a unique way of doing what we do. No one else in the world has ever been designed to do it the way each one of us is. But we also have a part of us that's very open and receptive because we need to receive help. No one can do this on their own. If they do, they still have to breathe air and eat food.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to receive. Okay. Now, what has happened when we made, through the period of history we've been through over the last 500 years and even thousands of years before that, we got obsessed with trying to do things and didn't quite, and in the process we grew massively. You know, our brains developed, with our imagination is huge, you know, great progress. But we paid a big price in terms of what people went through. And now we need to get that balance back of understanding that we need to receive in order to be able to give. There's an old saying, someone said, it's better to give than receive. But in order to give, you must know how to receive.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't receive support, you can't realize your full potential. Now, what happened when the mind was making decisions is it started looking at the part of us that what we're designed to do. And because it's so consistent, it went, you know, the mind is looking for differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it looked at that and went, I don't know what, maybe this is background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looked at the part of us that's receptive and open and just tried to take it all on board and make sense out of it, which created massive stress. It's like going to a smorgasbord with 2,000 dishes and feeling obliged to eat them all.
Yeah.
And thinking you're not successful unless you can eat everything. And then giving up because you're no good because you only ate 2 or 3 dishes. But the point is, when you're at a smorgasbord, you get to decide which ones are right for you. We need to flip back into making our own decisions because we receive so much from life. And we need to decide what's correct for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just like if you're starting a new business, like some of the people I work with, you know, you've got to be able to distinguish, okay, this person's offering me a ton of money. Yeah, but is this the right thing for the business for me?
Yeah.
Because there are people who offer a lot of money and then take it from you. And there are people who put any money in and really support you realizing your full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same thing. And now when you know your design, you get to understand where that confusion happened and how trying to do receiving creates massive stress because you can't. You have to receive. but it also tells you what you're designed to do, so you can really focus on what you're skilled at, what you bring to the table. And it also tells you where you're open to receive, and that you get to choose from all the things you receive, which ones. You get to decide which ones are right for you, which gives you the power. Because if you don't feel good about it, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean stoned about it. I mean satisfied or at peace, or this is going to succeed. If you've got those feelings, that's right for you. And the energy and the timing's right. If it isn't, you're wasting your time stressing about things that don't matter.
Yeah. And I think that that's the key word there for me, is that empowered. Now, there's a lot of information, or there's a lot of discussion around that in the media today, and what's going on. And I think true empowerment comes from knowing and feeling the capacity to be able to act. So in terms of working with our own unique operating system, is it fair to say then that it's almost like flipping a switch that turns on the right energy, so that we're receiving the right information, we're understanding and we're processing it in the right timing, and then we know exactly how to act, like we know how to move forward with this energy. We are empowered to move forward with this energy that's going to create the best destiny, or the design for us that is most connected to our unique style. Is that how you would maybe sum it up?
Beautifully put. Seriously, nicely put. The thing is, when the switch actually happens, because we now are evolving to a point where our mind can be liberated from trying to survive life or cope with life, so that it can do what it loves to do. Imagine, dream, vision. And then our design gets to decide when the energy and the timing's right to pull those ideas out. You might not ever do them. You might pass them on to your children. But the whole thing is, when we've been under so much more stress than we need, and we really don't need it. And we've got so much capacity to get in contact with our power that we don't need. And it's then we've got so much power that we're not using. So much wasted resources in the world. Human beings whose lives have been wasted. Talents, even the most talented people, wasting those talents because the mind is trying to do something it's not designed to do, and handing the job over to the part of us that is designed to do it. And the difference is, I was going to say chalk and cheese. I'm trying to come up with something. The difference is magnificent is the word.
Yeah.
I'm just drawing upon my own experience. Does it mean I never experience stress, or I never get sick, or I never get annoyed by things? No, I'm human.
Yeah.
But the ability to come back on track, and the ability to be consistent, not perfect, but just consistent, come back on track. Even aeroplanes drift off track, but the automatic pilot brings them back on.
Yeah.
We've got a operating system inside of us that, if we let it, will bring us back on track. And you get in touch with that, know how to operate as much as you need to, until the thing's working. That's, when it's working, you don't have to study it anymore. In fact, and the best way to know if it's working is to get out there and do it in real life experience. And that's what's so amazing about this, not only your design, but the whole program we're doing, because it's experientially based.
Yeah.
It's not based on, you get enough theory to keep this happy, but then you understand that if you relax into your design, everything will sort itself out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get to decide if it works for you or not.
Yeah. And I think too, the program, from what I understand, having a look at it and working with you guys. It is really, the first point is turning on that switch. It's switching it on, giving me the knowledge to be able to do it. And then for me, it's a little bit like being in the dark or in the light. So I'm either clear and I've got the light switched on and I'm empowered, I have the power and I can see what needs to be seen, and I can feel what needs to be felt. Or the light is off, it's dark, and I have no idea what's going on, and I'm fumbling around thinking, why is this not working for me? And I'm trying all these things that people say, try this and do this and this will work, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's not working for me. Why? What is wrong with me? And it's just because it's a different, I need a different approach to best use my power or my energy to bring the light forward.
Do you know what's beautiful about the whole thing? 10 years into it, I'm not going to stand there and go, oh, I'm perfect, I'm on top of it, I've got it together, you know. That's rubbish. I'm me.
Yeah.
What I can do is I know very quickly when I go off.
Yes, yes.
And I know
it gets dark
when
really quickly.
Yeah. And I know when I'm on. And a lot of the time I'm going back and forward. Or sometimes I'm even getting dragged off into, you know, but I know it. Even if I'm insisting on doing it, I know it. And just once you're conscious of it, once you actually feel it in your body and relate to it in your real life, the ability to come back on track increases exponentially. And you don't have to be on top of it. You just have to be, you know, like working out at the gym. You know, the first day it's like, oh my God. But 3-4 months later, 2 years later, 10 years later, it's normal.
Yeah.
And so this is so down to earth and so real. And yet what it opens up, I reckon we've probably used about 5% of our potential as human beings in the world at the moment. And look at what we've achieved.
Yeah.
Right? And we now have this brilliant mind with incredible ideas and perspectives that doesn't have to go along with everybody else.
No.
And it doesn't have to fight with everybody else. It just brings a unique perspective to the table. And if we start relaxing into that and finding not efficient ways of living together, but effective ways of living together, that other 95% will open up. I know at least another 5 or 10 has opened up in me. And even that is like, whew, this is incredible. What is happening now is the biggest leap forward in human development and human growth. It's almost like everything till now has been just leading up to this. And if you watch the news, you know, it's going to be like, but if you look at what's really going on for people, if you get to, you know, that's why the internet's useful, because you get to see other perspectives apart from what's just on the news channels or whatever. And I watch the news, you know, but you get to see a variety and you see, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of silly stuff, a lot of whatever, a lot of entertaining stuff, which is fun. But there's also a lot of really awesome stuff going on out there, because that's what human beings are capable of when they're living as their unique selves, and they have the freedom and the responsibility, the ability to respond with their design in a way that brings their gifts and their power to the table, and then every single person benefits.
Yeah.
Right.
And that takes us into the next subject that I wanted to touch on. You mentioned earlier about different leaders responding in a different way. And now for some of us, we can be leaders in families, or we can be leaders in teams, or, you know, leaders in our community group. One of the things that you mentioned is that a leader who is not in flow or not empowered can often be a bit angry, maybe. So when we talk about that in terms of our family dynamic, or in terms of our team dynamic, how important is it that we understand other people's operating system as well as our own? Or can we resolve some of these conflicts and some of these issues just by understanding ourselves better? Or do we need to understand everybody in the team or in the family for this to work?
Well, yeah, look, you can start with yourself, because if you don't work there, you're not even going to recognise really what's happening. And I'm speaking from experience. If you don't get clear, it's one of those things like someone says they want to buy a green car and all of a sudden you see green cars everywhere. When you're in touch with how you operate, one of the things I've experienced very clearly is it becomes very obvious that other people operate differently. When you're not, it's not that obvious, or it's annoying. Now, I'm not saying anger's bad.
No.
Healthy anger is like any emotion that's healthy.
Yeah.
Right? But it's that sort of anger that works against you and everybody you're involved with, or that type of frustration that just burns up your energy and makes people run away from you. Yeah. Or it's that bitterness that the success people get that just no, thank you. Yeah. I'll go elsewhere. It's that type of thing. Or people who are always disappointed. Yeah. That just, it robs you of the joy of life. Right? Now, when it comes to teams, this is crucial, because what we've just talked about is the precursor to teams as we've never experienced them before.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, teams have achieved amazing things. They really have, not all of them, but there are teams out there that have achieved extraordinary things, and even historically they're, legendary or well-known, or, in modern day society they're known. That is supposed to be something that everybody gets to experience to whatever degree they need to. As I said, you've got to be able to receive. If you're going to receive, you're going to have at least relationships, right? If you have a child, or you involve yourself with any more than 2 people, 3 people or more, you're going to have teams. When you understand your design, you understand what you bring to the table in a team. When you understand another person's design, then you understand what they bring to the table. And then you can very consciously and deliberately leverage that. You don't ask them to do things they're not designed to do. Right? You ask them to do things that they're naturally really good at.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's just really simple. But even further than that, within design, there is a whole, within our design, teams themselves have a design. Small teams and larger teams have a very particular way of showing up in the material world and way of operating in the material world. And they have very different focuses than individual human beings.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily there to receive, they're there to contribute.
Yeah.
Right? Now, again, everybody needs to receive, but when you get into a team, the real focus is contribution.
Yeah.
When you get a band, the thing is to create great music. When you create a business, the thing is to do great business. Provide great products or great services. The focus turns on how can we contribute? Because in that action, attraction, integration thing, we're all designed to act.
Yes.
And we're all designed to attract, to draw in, to receive, to accept support, put in simple terms, right?
Yep.
We work far more through receiving than we do through action.
Yep.
And so once you get into a team, you want to be able to contribute everything you're capable of contributing because there's such a need.
Yeah.
It's called in business, is there a market or not?
Yeah.
If there's a market, go for it, particularly if you can come together and work as a team that creates brilliant results or creates useful results or creates appropriate, what people are looking for. And once you know your design, it makes it so much easier to put together teams or even figure out the team that you've got and what you need.
Yeah.
In a family, you might lack certain things that you need. So you bring in a relative, you have some friends, you bring in a teacher for your children. In a business, okay, we've got all this, but we're lacking that and that. Okay, let's bring in a few consultants or hire somebody else.
Yeah.
And when you put that together slowly and effectively, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And that's part of that integration piece, isn't it? It's how we work as a unit, how we work either as a family unit, a business unit, and certainly in terms of designing our destiny for the future, it would be really important to understand where we're acting, where we're attracting, and what it is in terms of our integration. What is that next step to get us to the next level of whatever it is we've decided for our destiny?
Well, let's get to the level we're even capable of.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone does. The occasional people who do become, well-known or famous or controversial or whatever. But for at least get to the point where you're using the gifts and talents that you've been given. And then you can decide whether to embellish it or not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't realise what an incredible treasure and a gift every single person is. We talk about it philosophically, we talk about it religiously and humanitarianly, but you've got to have a real experience of it. And when you do, it's mind-blowing. It's just like, my partner didn't have anything like the upbringing and the education I had. Nothing like it. Totally different country, grew up in rice paddies. It's like, I cannot believe the wisdom she has. Even about stuff like we're talking about now without knowing anything, because she's never been, in a sense, she's never allowed herself to be completely conned into something she's not. Or completely bought into something she's not, because every day her life has been making her face reality. Well, we all need to be great dreamers and imaginers and face reality. It all comes back to getting the energy and the timing right. It all comes back to integrating this together so that it works in the real world. And knowing your design makes it so much easier, so much more fun and effective. It's brilliant. And it's very simple, and yet there's a lot of complexity there. And you just need to look at it like a Mercedes S-Class, the latest Mercedes. How much do you need to read the manual before you can drive it to your satisfaction? Or, and some people want to know everything about it because they're going to service them, they're going to rebuild them, they're going to improve it. Some people want to study it in depth. Some people just want to know, hey, where do I put the key? Oh, there isn't any key. Oh, well, what about how do I steer it? Right? And okay, that's enough. I know how to drive. That's it. As long as you get what you need to truly truly realize your full potential, who cares about the rest?
And I think that's the good thing about the program is it's a mix of things for the detail, which now, Darryl, you've been very quiet sitting there in the background listening to this. But this is where I actually wanted to ask you some questions, because you've had the opportunity to work in really large type of organisations. You've ran really large organisations. You've had big teams working for you and with you. How has that played out for you in terms of action, attraction, and integration. How have you used your operating system with your success?
Yeah, that's a good question, and great stuff, Christopher. I just wholeheartedly ascribe to everything you've said and shared. Well, in my experience, because I'm the type of human being that is the initiator style, and that's my makeup and my energy. So I'm very, very good at working in short bursts, and I can get done more in a short burst than some people can do in half a lifetime. But I run out of energy quickly, and so that can. And I'm one of those types that needs to function from that peace, that foundation of peace. When I'm at peace and I'm just content and nobody's, ruffling my feathers and disturbing disturbing the surface of the water, so to speak, then I can get amazing amounts done. But in that sense, I can easily be a bit fragile and get pushed off my course and pushed out of my best. So in dealing with large organisations, and I've dealt with very large organisations. Right now, I'm the CEO of a very large organisation. We've got about 50,000 businesses in our organisation. It's a completely different way. And when I met Christopher, I started to get a clearer grip on some of my own personal uniqueness. For all my life, I've been a human potential student. I've taught motivational human potential stuff all over the world in many thousands of situations. And but there's something about the knowledge that Christopher's been studying for the last 10 years and practicing in his life that just put some beautiful nuances and some finishing touches. It's one thing to have a beautiful picture. It's another thing to put that beautiful picture in a gorgeous frame that enhances everything about it, and then place that picture and frame in a setting where it can be truly appreciated. And some of the things that, a lot of the things actually that Christopher's been able to share with me over the last 3 years of knowing him have put the framework around my beautiful picture. I had a beautiful picture, and I had what many would envy, I guess, and sort of success that people might think they want. But putting the framework around it, putting it in the location and giving me a perspective of how I fit in the whole jigsaw puzzle of life, I've had some tremendous realizations. And talk about stress, look, when you're living your life inappropriately, and I don't mean immorally or unethically, but I mean when you're not actually firing on all cylinders, as they say, when one of the spark plugs is a bit dirty and it's not really working, then when you put your foot down, you really want to go hard, you're not going to be able to operate at peak performance. And that in itself creates stress. You might get along pretty quickly, and I've got along pretty quickly, but I've lived with a lot of stress. And I guess I've just learned to just deal with it and think that that's how my life should be. And I've definitely, absolutely lived with too much stress. And in the end, I just couldn't take it anymore. I just had to step out and reassess. And these last 3 years, especially working closely with Christopher and living not far from him as well and hanging out with him quite a lot, I have come to really appreciate the value of refining my understanding of who I am and how I function best. And I'm achieving more with less. And I guess that's one of the big advantages to me, is achieve more with less. And I don't lose my peace anywhere near as often as I once did. There are many stresses actually that I might identify a couple more before we're done today. But There are numerous stresses, but the big one for me is losing my peace. When I lose my peace, it's like having your wheel out of balance in your car. You know, you only need that tiny little 2 ounce, 3 ounce weight on your wheel, that little lead thing that they knock on the wheel rim that makes your steering wheel stay stable instead of go like this when you're driving down the road. I mean, how would you like to drive all the way through life with your steering wheel going like that? It's not impossible, and the majority of people are doing it. But wouldn't you much rather drive down the road just very, very calmly and very, very comfortably? And that's how I feel at the moment. I've reached a new level of calm.
Okay. And so finding out then that peace was your thing, I guess, for want of a better word, finding out that peace was your thing, did that make it easier in terms of designing your destiny? Did that make it easier for you to decide, well, what is it that I'm doing and what are the things that actually interrupt my peace and how can I manage those things?
Yeah. For anybody that already knows this, you'll know what I'm about to say, and if you don't, you know, come along, join our program, invest in yourself, and we'll show you what we're talking about. But what it did for me was increase my efficiency. So when you've got greater levels of efficiency and you're effective at the same time. See, I'm the kind of person that I'm one of those people that is a very, very individual kind of person. Now, we're all individuals, I know that, apart from, you know, Monty Python's Life of Brian. But you know, I'm not an individual. But you know, we're individual and we're all unique, and we hear this all the time. We go to seminars and talks and listen to people say, "Oh, you're unique." But when I ask people what's unique about them, they struggle to tell me. They know they're unique, but they don't know how the hell they are unique. What's the use of that? So when you get involved with Christopher and myself on this program that we've put together, and you know, it will not only tell you that you're unique, you already know that, otherwise you wouldn't join. But when you come on board, you will find out precisely. I mean precisely. You've never ever, if you haven't seen this particular technology before, you will have so many wow moments that it'll spin your head around a while, because it's more. I've been involved in so many different human development programs. In fact, all my life, all my life from way back into my teens until now, I'm 62. You know, I've been a professional educator of people in developing their potential. So I've studied not everything, but close to it, I'm sure, and I've certainly studied enough. But this technology combines the best of everything I've ever seen, adds some nuances to it that I've never seen, and packages the whole thing up in a way that makes more sense to my mind and feels better in my body and my whole being, and leaves me more at peace than any other technology I've come across till now.
Excellent. Now, as a result of the success that you've actually had, Darryl, and I think in terms of working with Christopher, you guys have actually come up with a nice little package for listeners. Now, Darryl, can you give us a bit of a background around how this works? How does the new program work? What does it mean, and what do we get? How can we get involved?
Yeah, well, it's a program you work with at your own pace. It's a program that Christopher and I are available to you in. It's something that will definitely lower your stress levels, and you know, you don't have to have been around very long at all as an adult to know that, you know, there's many experts out there in the world that will tell you that stress in one form or another kills us. You know, people get cardiovascular disorders, heart attacks, you know, their minds explode, and they, you know, they get all kinds of mental problems, physical problems. Stress is a killer. It's probably one of the biggest killers out there today. It even causes a lot of other things that we think kill us, you know, like cancer, like heart disease, blah, blah, blah. But in actual fact, the root, if you just could manage your stress, you never would have been susceptible to that problem. So, you know, stress is a big one. And what you'll learn in this program is which particular areas of your life are most susceptible to stress. So you have these energies within you. I do, you do, we all do. We all understand energy. In fact, science tells us that everything is energy. So, you know, my body is a community of energies at work. And the more harmoniously and synchronously these energies within my body can work together cooperatively, the better and greater my enjoyment of life will be. So this is the technology we're going to expose you to. We're going to work with you. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to teach you with, and we're going to give you in-depth information. And this will help you massively, because a lot of these areas in your life, these energies in your life, which are not particularly defined, but they're still there, they're very susceptible to outside programming. Now, I'll give you a personal example. I grew up in a minister's home, a preacher's home. I was known as a PK, a preacher's kid. You know, I had to go through school, you know, being a PK, a preacher's kid, being a little bit odd, being, you know, oh, your dad's a religious nutter, whatever, you know. So that kind of pressure, and my dad was a real evangelist. You know, he was an incredible enthusiast. He became a devoted Christian of the born-again brand, and when he did, his life just turned 180 degrees. He went from being a full-on, highly successful businessman to, in under 2 years, he was full-time working in the ministry until the day he died in his 80s. So, and that experience happened to him when I was about 3 years of age. So I was highly conditioned to please my dad, like most boys are, but I was highly conditioned to please my dad in the way that was his now new passion and his whole life mission, which was, you know, to please God, basically. So I grew up being conditioned by two incredible stresses. Number one, pleasing my dad, and number two, you know, pleasing God. You know, that to me is hell. You know, trying to achieve that outcome. If hell exists, I've already experienced it. So my dad was a gorgeous man, a lovely man. I adore him, loved him to bits, and had so many wonderful qualities. But I'm just talking about the downside of the energies within us that are not fixed and set. You know, there's certain energies in us that are fixed and set. You've all met people. You've met them, Chris, Cheryl, and all you listeners out there. You've met people. It doesn't matter what you say to them. It's like you might as well, don't confuse me with the facts. My mind's made up, right? So you just can't move them. You just can't change them. You just can't, because they've got fixed energy. Now, these people are an incredible asset. You're either trying to sell them the wrong thing and move them in the wrong direction, or they're really conditioned themselves and don't know it. And this is a great tragedy. A lot of people are conditioned and don't realise it. We're going to help people that join with us in this program and invest in themselves enough to understand just how self-conditioned we are. Now, when I first met Christopher, it was 3 years ago, just November past. And within a few hours of coming to know him, he was telling me about this technology, and he mapped out my own energetic makeup, my wiring diagram, if you like. Now, in a past life, back when I was, you know, a young guy, I was an electrician, so I understand wiring diagrams, and I understand electricity. I understand energy you can't see, because I used to work with it every single day. In fact, it nearly killed me a couple of times. And one of the things Christopher said to me about my particular wiring diagram is that he said, Darryl, your energetics are such that you are actually, whenever you try and prove something, it actually drains you. It's like a short circuit in your electrical system. And I don't know if you know, as you people listening, if you short circuit something, you get sparks and things blow up. And you know, when my dad and the whole Christian brand that I grew up in all my life started to educate me and program me and condition me into feeling and thinking and acting that such that I had to prove myself to God, proving myself was actually counterproductive to my whole energetic makeup. Now, I'm not knocking God, I'm not knocking Christianity or religion in that sense, but I am definitely knocking the hell out of conditioning people as if we're all sausages in a sausage factory designed to come out and look and act and be, and feel and taste exactly the same way, because we're absolutely not. And one of the beautiful things about this technology we're dealing with here is that it will show you your uniqueness, not just tell you you're unique, but in fine detail, as fine a detail as you want. In fact, the detail is literally mind-boggling and can become a distraction, in fact. You can completely miss the damn point if all you want to do is get into the detail. But what we can show you and hold your hand with you on is how to actually build it into your daily practice so that you, as Christopher spent, you know, just telling us before, experience it instead of just know it. You know, I've said many, many times to many people, a man with an experience is never at the mercy of a man with an argument. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if I've got the experience, you know, man, I've got the experience. You know, when I grew up, and I've read the Bible from cover to cover, and I know it inside out better than the average bear in the woods. There's so many wonderful stories in there. And there's a great story about Jesus who healed a blind man, right? And the big mistake Jesus made was that he healed the guy on the Sabbath day, and the Pharisees, who were the enemies of Jesus, said, you can't heal a man on the Sabbath day, that's working, and the Sabbath day is a day of rest. And they said that to the blind man, or the ex-blind man, and the ex-blind man said, listen guys, I don't give a toss about your rules and regulations. Once I was blind, and now I can see. You can't beat that with a stick. All the theory in the world, all the intellect in the world, all the PhDs, masters and MAs and, you know, degrees in the world won't beat that. You know, you've got an experience, and that's what's going to happen when you get involved with us in our program. You're going to have experiences that will go, wow, that's just great. And they're going to be wow. Cheryl, I know you've had them. You've worked with Christopher closely. You've had many of them.
Yeah. And your brightness, yeah.
Let me tell you about our program, because you're not just going to hear the truth, but you're going to come to experience the truth for yourself. And there's a great quote that many of you have heard, you know, it goes like this: when you know the truth sets you free. Now, it's not the truth that sets you free, it's the truth you know. I mean, really know. And the word is experience. It's the truth you experience that sets you free. It's not the knowledge that sets you free. You know what knowledge does? It makes you proud. It puffs you up with, I'm better than you because I've got a degree. I'm better than you because I know more. I'm better than you because. And it's all mental. But when you've got experience, it doesn't matter. You've got experience. That's it. So we're going to teach you in our program how to shine. Not how to prove anything, but just how to shine. You know, the sun's got nothing to prove, has it? I've got nothing to prove. I'm not even here to help people. Can you believe that? I'm not here to help people. I'm not here to help any of you listeners, but I guarantee I will if you just hang out with me. Not because I'm here to do that. I'm here to shine. I'm here like the sun. I'm not the sun, but, I'm here like the sun. I'm just here to shine. You wake up in the morning, I look out my window and there's the sun and it helps me and I get that vitamin D. It's not here to give me vitamin D. It's not here to make my vegetables grow. It's not here to light up my day so I can see where I'm going. It's just here. But I certainly take advantage of it and I certainly appreciate it, and I'm certainly grateful that, I've got the right relationship with the sun. I don't spend too much time in it because then I turn like a lobster. But I spend enough time in it and I respect it and I appreciate it. And that's what you're here to do. You're here to shine, and people will get a benefit from you when you just be what you're here to do. And you'll love every minute of it. You really will. So we'll not only show you what you're gifted to do, but how you actually implement it. And most of you, I can confidently say from what I understand about this technology, that 70% or more of you are most likely trying to prove yourself, prove your talents, prove your worth, push yourself out there. And is it any wonder you end up frustrated? Is it any wonder you end up unsatisfied? Is it any wonder you end up feeling bitter about why can't people see what I can do? Any wonder? Well, when you realise you're just here to shine, and when you shine, everything's going, all the goodness is going to start happening to you. So that's what I know for sure. So don't keep doing a job that you're not designed to do. Hammers are no good at taking out screws. Screwdrivers are no good at banging in nails. And so we're going to talk to you about lifestyle keys that will help you design your destiny. And they fall into two categories, just broadly speaking, in my view. They fall into category one, which is getting in sync with the nature of life. Now, life is an energy. We all know that. Life's wonderful. When you get in sync with the nature of life, like if you're a farmer, you know not to plant seeds in winter. You know to wait for spring and plant seeds in spring, because that's being in sync with nature. And you get the best results that way. Well, we're going to show you how to get in sync with the nature of your energetics. Your wiring diagram's not going to have a lot less short circuits and a lot less stuff blowing up when you start to understand what we're talking about and impact and implement it in your life. And the second thing is get in sync with the nature of your body. Now for me, I've spent a lot of time ignoring my body, pushing it to extremes and not really giving it the respect it deserves. And again, this program, this technology has helped me become more and more in sync with my body, my timings, when I need sleep, not just pushing myself through in ways that I had before. So when you get involved in our program, you're going to experience these things. Now, if you're already well aware of what I'm talking about today, that's fantastic. You can still improve dramatically on where you are with help, as Christopher said before. If you're not proficient in this technology and how to practice it effectively, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a special offer right now. I'm going to invite you to spend 15 minutes with me, one-on-one. And I'm going to look at your wiring diagram with you, and I'm going to show you one or two, because there's so many, but I'm going to focus in. There's only 15 minutes I'm giving you. I haven't a lot of people on this call, so I don't have time to, spend the rest of my life doing this, but I'll give anyone that wants it 15 minutes. And the way you're going to interact with me on that is I'm going to send you a personal email, and I'm going to invite you. I'm going to send you my calendar. You'll be able to pick your slot in for 15 minutes, and I'll give you 15 minutes one-on-one looking at your wiring diagram. In the email, I'll ask you a few questions about yourself, which you need to give me the best answers you can for, so that when we meet, my time with you is effective and your benefits maximised, okay? So I'll send you a few questions. You fill those in, 2 or 3 of them. Just give me that, and then I'll tell you things about yourself that if you're not familiar with this technology, will blow your mind. If you are familiar with it, great. We'll work on some areas where perhaps you want some help. And there's no charge. there's no strings, but you will experience me. And one of my functions in life is I'm a catalyst. Okay, I've come to learn this about myself. I'm a catalyst. Now, a catalyst is something that speeds up a reaction. In this case, a desired reaction. You want to grow, you want to understand, you want to have more success, more satisfaction, more peace, you know, more delight. Well, I can speed that up for you just by hanging out with me. That'll happen because that's my energetic nature. You know, that's what happens when people hang out with me. So I'm offering you that, and no hooks whatsoever. I will offer you, however, the opportunity to work with me and Christopher ongoing. No pressure, but I'll offer it to you. So when we get on the call, I'm going to offer that. And in fact, we're offering it to you right now, the opportunity to work with Christopher and myself, because some of you have a wiring diagram such that you just know very, very quickly that this feels good for you or this doesn't feel good for you. And so if you know, if you go, that feels good, you need to jump on right away. That's your inner system telling you this is what you need to do next. And Cheryl's going to talk to you at the end about precisely how you can get involved in our program. If you're one of these people that goes, I need to sleep on that, you know, and some people do. I'm one of those, by the way. Some people need to sleep on it. Well, you sleep on it. Take your time with me. Spend 15 minutes and then sleep on it after that if you want to. I don't care. But I want you to do what is truly in your highest and best interests. And if you're honest and if you're sincere and you listen with your inside, not with your mind, listen with your inside somewhere, you'll go, this feels good. This feels right. Or you'll go, not for me. One of those two reactions. Or you'll go, interesting. Tell me more. Hook up with me and I'll give you 15 minutes of my time. I'll invest in you for 15 minutes and whatever happens, you'll be better for it. I'm sure of that. So appreciate you taking your time, listening to me, giving you a little pitch right here. Is there anything else you want me to say, Cheryl?
No, that's great. I'm actually really excited about the 15 minutes to get that clarity and for that
catalyst. You want to book in?
Yeah, I do. I'm really deciding what to do for this year. But 15 minutes in terms of somebody who is designed to be a catalyst to help you get ready to design your destiny. That's pretty awesome. I wish we actually had some more time because there's so many questions around the environment that we create for ourselves and the people that are our environment. So maybe we can catch up again into the future and talk about what it is in terms of our physical location and the type of environment that we create for our team and for our family. Christopher and Darryl, if you're both open to that, I'd really like to explore that more in terms of, like I said, the environment or the physical environment, the emotional environment and the energetic environment that we create for our teams. But that's been so fantastic in terms of the information that we got from you, Christopher, around understanding our pure style and what it is that when we know we're living out of alignment, like what does that feel like? And that can often be as a result of the expectations that other people put on us. So thank you for sharing that. And Darryl, for sharing your insight in terms of living and being conditioned by those who surround you and those teams that you're working in and the family units that you're part of. And that can automatically create this tension for you that you're constantly living with. So that's that constant unease. And when you finally find that peace, it must be delightful. Christopher, is there anything else that you would like to say, or share with us in the wrap up?
Thank you for asking. I've been sitting on something and I said I'll wait till I respond or not. Very simple. Up until now, as this has been spread in the world, it's fundamentally been focused on features. The work that Darryl and I do, and we're doing with you, Cheryl, it's not focused on teaching you the features. You'll learn that. This whole thing is focused on the benefits. In other words, whether you understand all the features or not, doesn't matter so much as whether you really are getting the benefit. And that is our commitment, that you get the benefits. So I just want to look, this is where our focus is. You know, we can talk about it, teach about it, do this and stuff like that. But if you don't get the benefits, who cares? If you do get the benefits, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like I said, in terms of finding out the benefits that are actually going to be real benefits for us, not benefits that we've been conditioned to expect, or benefits that, you know, our friends and family tell us, this is what you have to do. And, you know, like I said, there's so much more to explore in this around how we market ourselves, whether or not as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or as an individual looking for a new job. What sort of job should we be looking for? What sort of, you know, how do we best position ourselves? What is the way in which we should show up? So I think there's so many things to explore. And am I right in assuming that by doing the program, we can then apply that to all aspects of our life, not just what it's like to be a business owner or what it's like to be, you know, we can actually do the program and decide for ourselves where we're actually going to look within our destiny and within our life. As I want to focus on this area, I want more love this year, I want more relationship this year, so I understand that better. Or it might be, well, I want more, you know, fulfillment in my career. So this program covers all aspects of our life, not just one pocket area.
Cheryl, I work with people on everything from major investment businesses to getting along with their family and just taking care of their health. See, this is about, if it's to do with anything, about how you live in the physical world, this is fantastic. This is the bomb. Right? Because it's so practical. And it comes down to, is this your experience or not?
And it comes down to, how do I act? What do I attract and how do I attract? And then how do I integrate that into my life in all aspects? And how do I integrate into other people's lives? So it's been fantastic spending the morning with you. Thank you so much. For listeners, yes, the recording will be available. I'm sure there weren't that many bloopers, so there won't be enough, you know, won't need to do much editing. But thank you all for spending the time with me and with Christopher and Darryl, and it's been my pleasure to host you both. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again at one of our future Women Who Influence live events. Talk with you soon.